The Paul Leslie Hour, helping people tell their stories. And now, your host, Paul Leslie.
Hey, it's me. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the company of a legendary songwriter. Buzz Rabin is a singer-songwriter. In addition to the songs he has recorded himself, which I recommend you check out, some legendary artists have covered his songs. I'm talking about Ringo Starr, Jerry Lee Lewis, Mel Tillis, David Allan Coe, Hank Williams Jr., Gene Watson, the band Alabama, and most recently, the new 2019 album from Willie Nelson has a Buzz Rabin song. Maybe I Should Have Been Listening is the title. So first of all, thanks so much for making the time to talk to us. How are you, Buzz Rabin?
I'm doing fine for an old fart. I'm sorry, I don't know about the legendary part. I didn't realize I had that many cuts by great artists, but I'm honored.
Why do you think some of the best singers have decided to record your songs?
I don't know. I'm certainly pleased that they have. I think I try to write songs with human emotions of some sort in mind, whether down or up, and I believe that's what they're looking for. I know that's what the public's looking for. So I just feel blessed.
Where are you at the moment?
I'm back in Nashville at the moment. I got back a couple of days ago, and we've been trying to make this connection now for about 3 weeks. And we're finally doing it, thanks to you. No.
And thanks to you, because we were supposed to do it last week, and then something came up at the last moment, and but here we are.
Yeah. You finally ran me down, or vice versa. I don't know which.
So where does the Buzz Rabin story begin? Where are you from?
I'm from Alexandria. I grew up in Alexandria, Louisiana. And fortunately, growing up in Louisiana, I was singing in a honky-tonk when I was 15. And along with Gene Dunlap was the band leader and hired me to sing. And I learned so much, and that was all from the time I heard Hank Williams, that was the only thing I ever wanted to do, was what I have been blessed with the opportunity to do. And I thank the supreme power every day for that. But as you asked where it came from, I don't know. I tried to hone it when I realized that I possibly did have a future maybe in doing what I absolutely loved most. I began to try to hone it to the ultimate, and I'm still working on it, as we all are. But I feel like I do have proof to myself that I've done something right by being presented by some of my all-time heroes in country music and rock music. And anyhow, that's kind of where it's at, if that answers your question.
Absolutely. Now, you said that you're from Louisiana originally, and a lot of the listeners are probably aware that some of the greatest music ever came from Louisiana. You mentioned that you were a fan of Hank Williams. Tell us about some of the other singers that you liked when you were coming up.
Oh, at a very young age, Ernest Tubb, of course. I remember we used to, when we were riding, and we had my daddy always had a pickup truck, and we all rode in the cab, and he'd have the radio going, and it would be on some country station. And if it were on Saturday night, of course, it was on WSM AM, the Opry. And I knew all Ernest Tubb's songs. I used to sing. I used to get on my knees on the floorboard and sing along with the radio, and even do the guitar parts that that back then Jimmy Short did when E.T. would say, "Oh, Jimmy," and I would do that and all that stuff. But then when Hank Williams came along, the emotion in Hank Williams it captured me, and I'm still captured by it. Some of my other influences, early influences of different genres, well, not different genres, but different forms of what we call country. Bill Monroe and Clyde Baum and the Bayou Boys in Louisiana, who did bluegrass. And Clyde Baum later on became a very dear friend when I did a TV show with Bozo Darnell there in Alexandria, and Clyde was one of the regulars on it. And that was like the meeting of a lifetime. Also, I love that guy. And anyhow, so there were so many others. I was influenced by the blues too. Jimmy Reed is so funky that I can sit and listen to him over and over and over, and others. But
I think you would enjoy hearing this. My wife, Karina, she's from Romania.
Oh?
We were driving down the road, and Hank Williams came on the radio, and she said, "Now what is this? Now this is real. I like this. This is great."
He had that effect on so many, and still does. He left us at a very young age, but he also left us with just a world of emotion and words that touch deeply. Now he's taken us to many places in his writings, in his singing, his presentations. I know he's taken me to worlds that would have never existed for me had I not heard him and felt him.
Beautifully put. I want to talk a little bit about this new song. Well, it's not a new song, but the song on Willie Nelson's new album, I should say. The name of the album is Ride Me Back Home, and the song...
Yes, the Sonny Throckmorton song, one of my all-time, one of my dear friends, and a great, great songwriter, and a great person. I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I just had to say that.
I'm glad you did. Yeah, he was just a guest on the show, and yeah, another great...
Oh, he's a trip, isn't he?
Yeah, he's fun.
Yeah.
I'm hoping you can tell us about the inspiration behind your song, Maybe I Should Have Been Listening.
Well, it's pretty deep. It's actually, when I wrote the song, I wrote it as maybe you should have been listening when I said goodbye. I blamed the other person, and it was when I demoed it, the publishing company, it was published through Screen Gems EMI at that time, and they wanted me to change it to Maybe I Should Have Been Listening. No, I wouldn't do it, and they changed it anyhow. And then I had a single on it by Rabun Anthony as Maybe I Should Have Been Listening, and then not too far down the road, had a single on it by Miss Jessie Coulter, sweetheart that she is, and she regarded it the way I wrote it, as Maybe You Should Have Been Listening, and had a chart record on it. But it's it's gone back and forth. Willie, of course, has recorded it as Maybe I Should Have Been Listening. I found an old cassette tape that I'd made when I originally demoed it, and I had for Willie Nelson on it. I meant to pitch it to him right from the first. And that's a long story. I won't go into that. I'd take up the whole day. But after all these years, it finally, Willie, my understanding from Buddy Cannon is that Willie was listening to Gene Watson's cut of the song. Gene had a chart single on it too, and really delivered it well. But Buddy said he got on. He went down to Texas. He got on the bus, and Willie was on there listening to songs and was listening at that moment to maybe I should have been listening. And he asked Buddy, you know this song, you familiar with it? He said, oh yeah, that's Buzz's song. And Willie said, well, I want to do this. So consequently, on the next session that they did, they included it, and I'm so thankful. And this is rather ironic, I think. And I told Buddy about it, and he's told Willie. I dreamed that I heard Willie singing it about 2 years before this cut. I heard him singing it, and I even heard the guitar part on it that was very similar. And just when I got the call that he had recorded the song, it was like, oh well, I knew that. I knew that was going to happen, but I didn't. But I'm so thankful that it did. Thank you, Willie. Bless your heart, and Buddy.
Buzz, I don't mind telling you, you made me kind of misty-eyed with that story. It was touching to hear.
Well, I didn't mean to take you to the depths. If I can touch people with anything that I say or do or present, then I'm blessed. I feel like I'm fulfilling my, I don't know if I'd call it destiny. I'm fulfilling my dreamed of role as a human being.
That album, the new one with from Willie Nelson, I have to say it's one of the best. It's just from beginning to end, it's so good.
I think so too. There's some great material on it. The Guy Clark son, and of course the Mac Davis. It sure is hard to be humble. I don't find it that hard to be humble, but occasionally I like to show off.
What is it you like about country music?
Everything. I would be the general answer. It's for and to the people. There's no for the most part, it has no frills and no. Well, I'm gonna do it this way, and it'll be quote commercial unquote. Well, I've always been a believer that if you do it right and do it with all your heart and soul, it'll be quote commercial unquote. Commercial meaning the public will accept it, and it hopefully it'll be something they've been wanting to hear or feel, and that's where I try to come from. Anyhow.
Who was the first artist who cut a Buzz Rabin song?
Oh, let's see. Back, I suppose the first cut I had was before I came to Nashville. Bozo Darnell, people from Texas, from the South, from Louisiana. He's from Louisiana himself. When I affiliated with him doing this TV show, we went out to West Texas and recorded some stuff, and then shortly after that, I got a couple of cuts by some Texas artists that later on have become well known. At that time, there was who later on became Freddie Fender, was I understand through Pappy Daly had recorded one of my songs. It never was released, but what the heck, just to have it recorded. The first cut I had when I got to Nashville, Jimmy Sad and I came here together from the West Coast. He's a Mississippi friend. He's in Texas now, but we came here together from the West Coast. And we were here like 2 weeks and had a chart record. And, this is easy. Well, we didn't have another one for like 2 years, but the first cut was a song called wait, let me think. It escapes me right now, but it was Bobby Emmons, I think it was, that recorded it. And it was Every Time I Carry the Torch, I Get Burned, I think was the title of it. Anyhow, at my age, sometimes my memories get a little cloudy, and forgive me if I missed the boat on the name of the song and the artist. I try not to do that, but sometimes.
It's all right. It must be quite a story how Ringo Starr ends up recording the title cut of his album Bukus of Blues. You wrote that song.
I was in the right place at the right time, and I was with Pete Drake, my mentor and one of my heroes, and I had written a song. I'd come to Nashville and gone back to the West Coast, where I'd been playing music for like 4 or 5 years before I came to Nashville. I would come here and I'd go back, and but I wrote the song while I was out there. I had that idea from my teenage years, because in Louisiana, that buku this, buku that, of course, is common. But those of us who were not true Cajuns, we didn't say buku. That we said bukus of this, bukus of that. And then, strangely enough, when our boys were in Nam fighting that ridiculous war, the French, having been there for many years, the bar girls had picked up that phrase, bukus of this and bukus of that, from them. Well, a lot of the boys that came back from Nam were familiar with that phrase. And I didn't really realize it at the time when I wrote the song I'd tried to write the song over the years. I didn't realize that was the case, that the Vietnam connection would come into play. But anyhow, I came back from the West Coast, and just so happened that within the next few months, Pete had gotten a call from George Harrison and gone to England and to play on his album, and met Ringo while he was there. Ringo wanted to do a country album, asked Pete to play on it. Well, Pete, being the promoter and the person who understood pre promo, decided to talk to Ringo into coming to Nashville. It was, just the fact of you coming to Nashville and cutting it will be a big deal, and it was. So anyhow, Ringo came and I had just demoed that song. Well, Pete played it for Ringo. He liked it. They cut it. The rest is history, as they say. That was a really good day. I met Ringo and got the title cut of the album all in the same day. Let me mention one more thing. The picture, the photo on the back of the album of almost everyone involved in the session. Strikingly, I'm not in that picture. Well, that wasn't their fault. I was living on a boat that I had rented at the time. It was the old Tennessean lady that had belonged to Senator Kefauver at one time. Ronnie Dale and I had rented it. It was tied up on the Cumberland River, and we'd rented it and were living on it. And I'd had a really full night the day before that picture was taken, and I just didn't make it to the photo op. And I wish I had, but I didn't. And anyhow, I just wanted to explain why I wasn't there. Or I didn't want people to think they had bleeped me out.
No.
I'm talking too much.
No, you're not. No. That's what you're here for on this show.
No, okay. Okay.
What did you think of Ringo singing on your song?
I thought he did a decent job on it. I mean, not being familiar with Cajun, and well, I suppose he was familiar with Cajun music to a degree. Excuse me, I had to get a drink of water. My mouth was getting dry. I thought he did a decent job on it, and I really appreciated how hard he worked on it, and was honored to have the cut, and have since then communicated with him. Well, run into him a couple of times, and I consider him a friend. I hope he considers me a friend. I also consider him a great showman. I love this all-star band that that he has now performing, and I love the way he does it. He comes out front and he features the band, the all-star band, which is made up of a bunch of stars in their own right. And then he'll come out front, and the people love him. Everybody loves Ringo. But he'll come out front, do his thing, and then he'll go play drums behind the all-star band. You know, that's great. That's great. He's, you know, like, he's a superstar, but he shares his time with those who are with him and that he loves, and they all work together, and they love what they do, and it's just, it comes across so well. And as I say, the audiences everywhere he goes, they love him, all ages. So, you know, what can I say? He's great, and I'm proud that he recorded my song, and I'm proud to call him friend.
This might be a difficult question. You might not like that I'm asking, but if you had to pick a favorite interpretation of one of your songs, who did the best job of singing a Buzz Rabin song?
I would have to say Gene Watson. He's recorded 4 or 5 of my songs, and I mean, I certainly don't want to leave anyone else out. I think Willie's rendition of that particular song that he got by listening to Gene Watson, Willie's cut on it is just fabulous too. He interprets it in a different way, but it's damn well interpreted. So, but Gene has such he has a great voice for one thing, but he also has great emotion, and he knows the song when he hears it, and when he presents it the way he feels, and that means so much. I mean, I've had other cuts the Jerry Lee Lewis thing, the Alcohol of Fame, that I love what can I say? The Killer, and he killed it. So, but there's so many. I think Miss Jessie Coulter's rendition of the Maybe You Should Have Been Listening is one for the books too. She's a soul grabber too. She gets hold of you and won't turn you loose. So, and Waylon, I was at a Tommy Collins benefit. Well, it wasn't a benefit. It was Tommy himself before he passed, of course, putting on a show, and a bunch of us were there. And Waylon was there, and Waylon came over and sat down at my table and started. That song came up, and he said, "Well, I'm thinking about doing that. Jesse and I doing it. So maybe you should have." And I said, "Oh boy, I wish you would. I'll be there tomorrow. I'll pay for the session. I'll do whatever." Yeah, it never happened, but and let me say this: I decided after a while that maybe I should have been listening. Was the male, the guy? That was what he should say, and maybe you should have been listening was what the girls should say. Those guys never listen. I mean, that they accuse us of never listening. Of course, we do. Sometimes we act like we don't. But I decided that maybe I was the guy, and maybe you was the lady's lyric. So, but those and others. I think Hank Jr.'s delivery on "In the Arms of Cocaine" is great. Of course, anything he does is great. There's so many others. I think Mel did a great job on all the stuff of mine that he's cut, and you know, I don't know. It's hard to choose. I love them all, and I'm thankful for them. And if I've left someone out, then I know I have. But thank all of you. And I'm just this is what I do, and thank you for helping me do it.
Buzz, what do you think is the best way for men and women to get along?
Oh, yeah, you said the last one was going to be a hard question. Sometimes too much togetherness can push you apart. I'm sure you've heard that phrase, and I'm sure you're probably familiar with the realism of it. I think I don't necessarily think that separate lives can help you get along, but keeping in mind that you can't be together all the time, and you have to honor and respect the other's lifestyle and ambitions and what they do. And if you don't respect each other in that regard and all regard, then it's going to collapse somewhere down the road. And I've been through a couple of collapses, and it ain't fun. It's no fun at all, folks, as many of you know. But as to how they get along, respect each other and stay close in touch, but don't stay too close too much.
Very interesting. I'm hoping you can tell us about some of the recordings that you've made. I was listening to a song called "The Drifter."
That was the first record that I had released after I got to Nashville was "The Drifter" on Stop label, which was Pete Drake's label, and it didn't cause a big stink or a big rumble, but it got some exposure, and I was really happy with it. And I think that particular cut, for those of you who haven't heard it, I think you can find it on the internet, on Facebook and so forth, and give it a listen. My delivery on it, I think, is one of my best. It's a very lonely song, and at the time that I wrote it, I was going through a pretty lonely time, and hopefully I captured it. And, I mean, I was feeling a lot of that loneliness at the time, and I'm proud of that cut. On the album Cross Country Cowboy, I think my rendition of the ballads on there are a couple of them are pretty good. Miss Melba Montgomery does the harmony with me on several of the things, and she nailed it. And there's Angels in Red, a tribute to Ladies of the Evening, is one of my favorites, and I mean it. I flourish it a little bit and make it seem a little more romantic than I'm sure it sometimes is. But none of this. I see that part of it too, and I just felt like saying that, so I did. I stole the melody from Streets of Laredo, which was a PD. Stole part of the melody anyhow, but and when you listen to it, if the melody sounds familiar, well, that's where it came from. And This I Know is another ballad on there that I'm proud of the delivery on that too, and Miss Melba is on it. I may not know a lot of things, but this I know. I know that I'll lose you that's going to leave a hole in me. And if I don't know anything else, this I know. So, I'm rambling on, but anyhow, that's
I'm enjoying everything you're saying. It's very interesting to me. And also, I wanted to go into a little bit some of the people you've written with.
Well, I've had the honor to have written with many great writers. Jimmy Sad, who I mentioned earlier, has been one of my all-time favorites to write with. He's a very soulful person. Flash Gordon, who's on Facebook as William Gordon, but we don't call him William. We call him Flash. And we've written together. Dean Dillon, I was honored to have written a few things with Dean, who's prolific and a very good friend, and as nutty as a run-over dog, to put it in someone else's words. But anyhow, it's been a lot of fun. Buddy Cannon and I've written stuff together. There's I don't think there's so many of them and anyone that I have written with has been an honor. It's not just been a contribution. It's been maybe what I did on it was a contribution, but I don't consider their parts as contributions. I consider their part as the core of whatever we've created together, and I've just kind of helped round it out most times, and was honored to do so.
There's a lot of great writers there that you've written with. When I was launching the podcast version of this show, after having been on the radio for quite some years, I decided episode 1 should be Willie Nelson, and then I wanted episode 2 to be Dean Dillon, because I wanted to show that on this program, I'm going to have both the sung and the unsung heroes, Yeah. And Dean has started to get some recognition. He had this documentary film that came out about him, but I'm curious to know from you, do you think songwriters get the respect that they deserve?
It's hard to say. Sometimes they do. Sometimes sometimes they seem to exist in darkness for so long. There are songwriters out there and songwriters that should be out there that are not, that are just amazing. They're prolific and they're soulful but I'm a believer that cream rises to the top, and if you hang on and do what you do and do it with all your heart and soul, somebody's going to notice one of these days, And I would like to mention David Allan Coe, who we've written together and we've roared together and we've lived together and we've almost died together over the years, and that's been an honor too. Everybody's familiar with the wild, crazy side of David Allan Coe, and please be familiar with the soulful, tender, caring side of the man too, because he damn sure has one. And I'm proud that we're friends and have been. We've been friends since the late '70s, or the late '60s. And he's one of my all-time favorite people.
Interesting.
I can't run with him all the time because I can't keep up. but nevertheless, I love him.
I feel like David Allan Coe is one of those people, both as a singer and a writer, that people forget to list when they talk about the greats. I would be very curious to know, what is it like to sit down and write a song with David Allan Coe?
Well, it's very interesting. He's deeply opinionated, and so am I. But we've managed to. Actually, the way we've written together, for the most part, is we'd get an idea, and then he'd write some, I'd write some, then we'd get together, and we'd use this, use that, not use this, not use that, and then go off and do some more. To sit down eye to eye, toe to toe, pen to pen, and write a song with David Allan Coe, I have not done that, and probably never will. But it works. What we do and what we have done works. And sometimes that's the way it has to be. I'm sure other writers will agree with me on that point, that there are those masterful writers that you have had the privilege and the honor to have written with, that it just worked. It just worked that way. You just didn't get together in a, quote, writer's room, unquote, and put down a bunch of words. And sometimes it comes over a long period of time when you keep getting back to each other. There's a song on Dak, I call him Dak, David Allan Coe, on his first album, The Mysterious Rhinestone Cowboy. The song on there, Old Man Tell Me, that we wrote together. There's a line in there that Dak sang the song to Mickey Newberry, an all-time hero of David and of Dak and myself. And there's a line in there that Mickey contributed, but wouldn't let us give him credit for. That you just can't shake hands. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this: you just can't shake hands with a fist. Now that's a great line, and Mickey, bless his heart, who's gone on now, and we miss him, but that's so real. That is so real, and anyway, I just wanted to mention that.
If you could write with any other songwriter, any songwriter who's still with us, that is, not limited to country music, just maybe it is in country music, it's totally up to you, who would you like to write with that you haven't yet?
Well, currently, it's so hard to say. I would have loved to have written with Whitey Shafer and Billy Joe Shaver. Billy Joe Shaver and I are longtime friends too, but we've never written anything together. And I consider him one of the all-time greats. I mean, the way Billy Joe says things, they're said, Hoss, and that's it. Other writers currently, let's see. I'm sorry, I can't name one right at the moment. There are so many of them, and there's country music has broadened so much that there are people that are writing things now that are, society changes. You have to say something that society relates to, and some of the lyrics that are being presented these days, it wouldn't have made sense, a few years ago, but they do now. And some of those writers whom I just can't pinpoint at the moment, but the way they say things, I would be honored to combine their thoughts with mine, and vice versa. But I didn't answer your question, I don't think, but I'm sorry. Anyone who feels it like so many do, I'd be honored to write with.
Well, you did mention Billy Joe Shaver, and I have to agree with you. He's a heck of a writer. He can be funny. He can be sentimental. He just has it all.
Oh, yeah. He sure does. And Haggard, Haggard and I were friends. We didn't run together a lot, and I always wanted to write with Haggard, and I always wanted him to cut one of my songs, and unfortunately, it never happened. But he caught me one day. He was coming off his bus, and I was just passing by, And then I spoke to him, and he said, "Hey, Buzz, man, he had just listened to some demos. He said, man, that's some good singing and some good songs." And I said, "Well, they're available." And he laughed, but he didn't get around to cutting one of them. But yeah, that would have been really an honor. And Wayne Stewart, to me, the most unheralded country song singer and writer of all time. And Wayne was a dear friend. We wrote a couple of things together that he never got around to recording, but just being friends and being around him. And let me say one more thing. Shortly before he passed away, we got together in town at Dusty Adams' apartment, and Wayne was about to go into the studio, and I sang him a song, "If You'll Hold the Ladder, I'll Climb to the Top." And he loved it. He wanted to record it. I gave him the tape on it, and he was going to do it when he went into the studio, but he never made it to the studio. Well, that song is, to my honor, is included. It is in the movie Tender Mercies. Robert Duvall sings the song, and I wish intensely that Wayne could have stayed around and done it, but it just didn't happen. But he's somewhere, and just to know that he appreciated the song means a whole lot to me.
On that note, what is the best thing about being Buzz Rabin?
I don't know. It's just having the privilege of being included in what I love so much, country music, is that to me, that's you can't beat that, and it's my honor, and thank y'all for accepting what I do, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. If I didn't do this, I don't know. If I couldn't do this, I don't know. I couldn't exist. I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't. I just, I'm too lazy to work. Got to do something. But that being Buzz Rabin is, I've just been blessed. And thanks.
I always like to give the guest the stage. For anyone who's listening in, we've got people listening in from all over. Totally open-ended. What would you say to the folks who are tuned in?
Thank you for being there. Thank you for listening. We love you. We hope you appreciate what we do, and we're extremely aware that many of you do. And thank you. We do what we do for us, but we do it for you too. I mean, it keeps us from going crazy, and we hope that it touches all of you in some way. And we know it has in the past, and we hope it continues to do so. And God bless you.
I had all of these titles that I put on you at the beginning. I said that you were a singer, that you were a songwriter, that you've recorded yourself, that other people have recorded your work. How do you define Buzz Rabin? Who is Buzz Rabin?
I'm just a country boy who does what I do by the grace of God, and I love what I do, and I'm just one of the many who are doing this, and I'm honored to be running with the pack. It's just Buzz Rabin is just a guy, that's been so blessed in so many ways that I can't count. And other than that, if I see you on the street, we look just alike. We have the same emotions. We laugh, we cry, We have a beer. We have a hard, let her make a hard liquor. We sometimes we shed a tear, and sometimes we laugh our heads off. We try to. We're thankful that we have been able to adapt to many situations and many parts of humanity have accepted us, and we appreciate it. Now I'm choking up here. Thank you for your time, Paul. You don't know how much I appreciate this.
Well, I've appreciated it. I feel very fortunate to have been able to do this interview with you.
Well, thank you. It's my honor.
My honor. Well, sir, have a great day. I really appreciate it. Until next time.
Well, thank you. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. All right, sir. Well, if you ever pass through Atlanta, I would love to meet you.
Well, I haven't in a while, but you never can tell. That's anywhere south is likely to see me wandering through there occasionally. So, and I'll certainly keep that in mind. Anytime I get anywhere close to Atlanta, I'll make it a point to get in touch with you.
Wonderful.
And thank you again.
Doodly zing bang booyah ducky japadoona cockaboodly ka sabiti bonka chila pakadoo zilla bonka total luck upon goodbye.